I think it's best that I refer you to material from other sources. Now, the the UK House of Parliament has in its library a report that went online on the 5th of July 2009. It is by 3 British researchers, and it documents Britain's foreign policy initiatives concerning the Sri Lankan conflict. So this is for the purpose of reading and understanding by the British MPs at Westminster, and it's a British document. And that document tells us pretty much the whole story, how there was a concerted effort from 2006 to stop the war, to interrupt it, to abort it, and how this campaign grew, how finally the British Foreign Secretary went over to the United States, to Washington, the role played by the EU, the attempt to bring a special session and a resolution on the 15th of, initially they wanted to do it in April, and then on the 14th of May. All the dates are given. This is a British document. It's an official document, as I said, in the library of the UK House of Parliament. So, it sets out a fascinating story of an enormous concerted international campaign against Sri Lanka. And facing it at the front lines in Geneva, I was there with our team. And I must tell you that when I went into to Geneva in 2007, early 2007, I got my staff together, and this you can check with anyone on the staff, and I told them a story from ancient Greek history, from Herodotus, the Battle of Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans under King Leonidas held off what is supposed to be 1.5 million strong Persian force. Finally they all died, but it was at this narrow pass, Thermopylae, and that bought time for the Greek Federation to get together and defeat the invaders. So I told them, look, we are going for a win, we can win on the ground, but these international forces, propelled by the pro-Tiger Tamil diaspora, will come for us, and they will come through Geneva because they can't go to the Security Council directly. We have Russia and China with veto powers. They will come through Geneva, and we have to stop them here. I said that in 2007. It happened in 2009, in May. And this I was ready for. So we had very strong European, Western European foreign ministries working against us. We had the huge Tamil diaspora demonstrating almost every day in Western capitals, including outside the UN in Geneva. One kid burnt himself to death, a 21-year-old kid from London, a Tamil boy. We had the international media, Western-dominated media, campaigning against us. And these people were very sure that they could win the vote. But finally, of the 17 signatures they got in order to bring the resolution, they couldn't even get 12 votes out of their own 17. And we got almost a 2/3 majority, 29-12. And I think the way that we managed to do that is by maintaining a principled foreign policy in Geneva, of supporting the third world countries, knowing who we were, knowing who our friends were, supporting Latin America, Africa, and Asia in the common causes of the third world, explaining our case, and securing the support of our friends. I mean, if you stand up for others, they stand up for you. And this I have known throughout life, and this is something that I tried to apply in Geneva, and we won. Now, if you contrast that with other situations, in Brussels, there was a vote on Sri Lanka in the EU Parliament. We lost. This was on the GSP Plus. 63-0. In the United States, the House of Representatives had a vote on November 4th, I think, Resolution 711 on the IDPs. We lost 221-1. We lost the effort to have host the Commonwealth in 2011. We won it for 2013. But in Geneva, we won. So the lessons of Geneva, I think, really should be studied, because it was a success in the midst of relative failure.
Now, when you're talking about this, Doctor, the question that comes to mind is that now this was a fairly debated resolution, and you were just explaining to us how much support you had to canvass to kind of withstand that sort of pressure. And now, in the events that has been unfolding lately, and the statements released by the opposition candidate, in the light of the above, we know that Philip Alston, the Special Rapporteur of the United Nations extrajudiciary killing, has inquired and asked for some clarifications from the Sri Lankan government. So my question is, now there being such a resolution passed, is it right for the Special Rapporteur to inquire even when there's that agreement? Isn't that some sort of binding, because it's United Nations Human Rights Council resolution?
Well, look, we can operate under the umbrella of that resolution for a while and to an extent. An Under-Secretary General of the UN from New York explained to me just how important our victory was, because he said, look, these guys, I won't mention who the guys are, these guys were looking for a UN resolution on Sri Lanka. They knew they couldn't get it in New York. They were trying to get it from Geneva, Human Rights Council. It would have been a UN resolution. And instead, by moving a resolution of your own, I mean, this was my idea, that we would have our own resolution and preempt it. You have, in fact, given them a negative mandate, a mandate not to move on Sri Lanka, because they were looking for a UN mandate to move against Sri Lanka on war crimes. Now, this is true. But we must also realize that, just as in the case of a court, a judgment in your favor may not be something that lasts forever if there is fresh evidence. So Philip Alston would say, look, I hear that, so-and-so, who was in a position of responsibility, has said such and such. So we need to inquire.
So, I mean, on the basis of new material surfacing?
On the basis of new material, which he says has allegedly surfaced. Now, I must tell you very frankly that I think that the way my friend Professor Rajiva Vijayasinghe dealt with it was correct. I mean, he said, look, this has been contradicted by the person whom you say said it, so I hope, you go back and withdraw your letter or look at it again. I used to get letters from Philip Alston and all these people several times, many times a year, sometimes several times a month. It's really not necessary to sort of set your sari alight and come to Colombo and set the whole place on fire. These are things that you can deal with very easily, and I think that Professor Vijayasinghe was dealing with it in the correct way, and I'm sad that somehow wires got crossed and his way of approaching it seems to have been, turned around or whatever. But Alston, I'm told, is having a press conference either today or tomorrow where he's supposed to be bringing up the Channel 4 issue. So the election campaign, unfortunately, has given a new life to these allegations, despite the resolution that was very much in our favor. It has provided fresh ammunition to the anti-Sri Lanka elements in the international arena. And this is unfortunate.
So in this context, how do you see like a retired general immediately after ending the war, like the ethnic conflict, coming into the political scene? Because we also have heard of presidents like George Washington and Eisenhower and so on and so forth. But just after ending a war that had so much pressure, coming into politics, what are your comments on it, Doctor?
Well, at one level, I think